The laughter that once made Chike's heart dance now made his stomach turn cold. He stood outside his forge, watching Amara giggle as a neighbor's prized goat wandered freely down the village path, its rope chewed through. The neighbor's son was crying, running after the animal through the mud. "Amara," Chike called gently, "did you let the goat loose?" She turned to him with eyes wide and innocent, like a child caught stealing honey. "It was just a game, my husband. The boy takes life too seriously. Animals should run free, should they not?" Chike forced a smile, but something dark twisted in his chest. This was not the first time. Last week, it was the baker's flour scattered across the road. Before that, the weaver's threads tangled into useless knots. The neighbor finally caught his goats and walked past Chike without a word, his face hard with anger. As he disappeared around the corner, he muttered just loud enough for Chike to hear, "She has never really grown up, that wife of yours, and it could ruin you." Chike stood frozen, those words echoing in his mind like distant thunder before a storm. In the village of Olorunma, everyone knew Amara as the woman who laughed like rain falling on dry leaves. She would dance in the marketplace, tease the elders with harmless jokes, and play with the children as if she were one of them. People smiled when they saw her. They called her a blessing, a breath of joy in a world too serious. Chike had once believed the same. When he married her 3 harvests ago, he thought he had found a wife whose lightness would balance his heavy work at the forge. She made him laugh when his back ached from hammering iron. She sang when the nights were too quiet. But lately, something felt wrong. Her games were no longer harmless. Her tricks left people angry. Her laughter came at the wrong moments, as if she found joy in chaos rather than peace. Today she sat on their mat, arranging a strange collection of wooden toys, small carved animals, and colorful stones that did not belong to her. Chike had never seen them before. "Where did these come from?" he asked carefully. She smiled but did not look up. "I have always had them, my love. Do you not remember?" He did not, and that silence between them felt heavier than any hammer he had ever lifted. The scream from the forge made Chike drop the yam he was peeling. He ran outside and found his 2 apprentices stumbling back from the fire, their faces streaked with ash. A half-finished hoe lay twisted and ruined in the coals, the metal warped beyond repair. "What happened?" Chike shouted. The younger apprentice, Ibuka, looked down in shame. We were trying to help." "Help with what?" "Amara said you wanted to heat all the tools at once," Ibuka whispered. "She said it was a surprise for you, a faster way to work. She told us to add more coal and the fire became too hot," Chike finished, his voice hollow. "The customer would be furious. The hoe was meant for the chief's farm, due tomorrow." Chike's reputation, built slowly over years, now hung by a thread because of a game. That evening, as Chike sat outside trying to repair the damage, a folded piece of paper slipped under his door. He opened it with shaking hands. The message was written in careful letters. "Someone in this village knows what your wife truly is. Ask her about the place she lived before Olorunma. Ask her why she had to leave." Chike looked up at the dark sky, his heart pounding like his hammer on iron. The whispers started like smoke, thin and easy to ignore, but soon they thickened into something Chike could not escape. At the well, women turned silent when he approached. In the marketplace, men exchanged glances when Amara passed by, her laughter ringing too loud, too long. One evening, Chike's closest friend, Obi, pulled him aside near the Palm Wine Bar. "Brother, I must speak with you." Chike nodded, though his chest was already tight with dread. Obi chose his words carefully. "The village is concerned. Amara's behavior. It is not just playful anymore. People are losing patience. She convinced old Mama Ngozi's granddaughter to borrow her savings for sweets. The child thought it was a game. Mama Ngozi is heartbroken." Chike closed his eyes. "I will speak to her." Will you? Obi's voice was gentle but firm. Or will you smile and pretend again? My friend, love is not weakness, but neither is it blindness. Chike wanted to defend Amara, to say she meant no harm, but the words died in his throat. How many times had he already said them? How many people had he already disappointed? As Obi walked away, he paused and looked back. Her charm hides a heart not ready for love, Chike, or for life. Elder Aurora was the oldest woman in Olorunma, her face lined with the wisdom of 7 decades. She rarely left her compound, but when she did, people listened. It was said she could see things others could not, that the spirits whispered truths into her dreams. Chike found himself standing at her door, unsure why his feet had carried him there. Before he could knock, her voice called from inside. "Come in, blacksmith. I have been expecting you." He entered and sat across from her on a woven mat. She studied him with eyes that seemed to pierce through skin and bone. "You are troubled," she said. It was not a question. "My wife," Chike began, then stopped. How could he explain? "Amara," Aurora said, nodding slowly. "The woman who plays but never grows. The woman whose laughter hides a hunger that cannot be filled." Chike's throat tightened. "You know her?" "I know her spirit, and I know men like you, good men who mistake patience for wisdom. You think love will change her. It will not. Love does not teach responsibility. Only consequences do." Chike swallowed hard. "What should I do?" Aurora's gaze darkened. "If you ignore this, your love will break you. And perhaps it will break the village too." Chike returned home that night to find Amara humming softly, preparing soup over the fire. She smiled when she saw him, as if the world were perfect and simple. "You are late, my husband. I was worried." He sat down heavily, his mind tangled with Elder Aurora's warning. He wanted to ask her about her past, about the letter, about everything, but the words would not come. Days passed in tense silence. Then one morning, Chike went to retrieve his grandmother's bronze bracelet, a family heirloom he kept hidden in a carved box beneath their bed. The box was there, but the bracelet was gone. His heart stopped. He searched the house frantically, tearing through baskets and overturning pots. Amara watched him with wide, curious eyes. "What are you looking for?" she asked innocently. "My grandmother's bracelet. It was in the box. Did you see it?" She tilted her head. "Oh, that old thing. I thought you did not want it anymore." "What?" Chike's voice cracked. "Where is it?" "I sold it," she said lightly, as if discussing vegetables. "I needed money for new cloth. The bracelet was just sitting there, doing nothing." Chike could not breathe. That bracelet had been in his family for 3 generations. His mother had given it to him before she died. That evening, a man knocked on their door. He handed Chike a small note along with some coins. "Your wife sold me this bracelet. I felt wrong keeping it. Here is what I paid." The note read, "She told me you were dying and needed medicine. I am sorry for your loss." Chike looked at Amara, who simply shrugged and smiled. Elder Aurora called Chike back to her home that evening. This time, she held a small object wrapped in red cloth. "Take this," she said, pressing it into his palm. "It is a talisman blessed by my grandmother's grandmother. It reveals truth when danger is near. Wear it around your neck and watch carefully." Chike unwrapped the cloth. Inside was a smooth black stone carved with symbols he did not recognize. It felt warm against his skin. "What kind of danger?" he asked. "The kind that wears a smile," Aurora replied. When Chike returned home, Amara noticed the talisman immediately. Her eyes lit up with childish curiosity. "What is that? A new toy?" "It is a protection charm," Chike said carefully. She laughed and reached for it. "Let me see. It looks like a game piece." He stepped back. "It is not for playing." Her smile faded slightly, but she shrugged and turned away, humming again as if nothing mattered. That night, Chike woke to a strange glow. The talisman around his neck was shining faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat. He looked toward Amara, who lay sleeping beside him, her face peaceful in the moonlight. But the stone's glow grew brighter the longer he watched her. His hands began to shake. The marketplace was in chaos. Water gushed from the broken village fountain, flooding stalls and ruining baskets of grain, yams, and dried fish. Vendors shouted in anger and panic, trying to salvage what they could. Children splashed and played in the water, laughing as if it were a festival. Chike arrived just as the village head, Chief Okonkwo, was organizing men to block the water's flow. The chief's face was dark with fury. "Who did this?" he shouted. "Who convinced the children to remove the fountain stones?" One of the children, no older than 7, raised a trembling hand. "Auntie Amara said it would be fun. She said the water wanted to dance." All eyes turned to Chike. He felt the weight of their stares like stones pressing on his chest. "Where is your wife?" Chief Okonkwo demanded. Chike did not know. He searched the crowd and finally spotted her at the edge of the marketplace, watching the chaos with a faint smile on her lips. When their eyes met, she did not look ashamed. She looked amused. An old woman spat on the ground near Chike's feet. "I saw her laughing when the water first burst free. She clapped her hands like a child at a puppet show." Chike's world tilted. He wanted to defend her, but he had no words left. That night, Chike could not sleep. The talisman around his neck pulsed softly, a constant reminder of the danger Elder Adaora had warned him about. He lay awake, listening to Amara's steady breathing beside him, and made a decision. He had to know the truth. The next morning, while Amara was at the market, Chike went to the small house where her mother had lived before she passed. The house had been abandoned for 2 years, its walls cracked and overgrown with weeds. Chike pushed open the wooden door, which groaned on rusted hinges. Inside, dust covered everything. He searched carefully, opening old baskets and lifting rotted mats. In the corner, beneath a pile of faded cloth, he found a locked wooden chest. His heart pounded as he broke the lock with a stone. Inside were things that made no sense. A pouch full of silver coins, more than a common family should have. Jewelry that sparkled even in the dim light. And letters, dozens of them, written in a delicate hand. Chike unfolded one letter. It was addressed to Amara, written by someone named Udoka. The words chilled him. "You cannot keep taking from people and calling it play. You cannot keep lying and expect no consequences. You must grow up, Amara, or you will destroy everyone who loves you." The letter was dated 15 years ago. Amara would have been just a girl then. Chike's hands trembled as he read letter after letter, each one a warning, each one ignored. When Amara returned home, Chike was waiting for her. He sat calmly, the letters spread out on the mat between them. She froze in the doorway, her smile faltering for just a moment before returning. "Where did you find those?" she asked lightly, as if they were discussing the weather. "Your mother's house." "Who is Amara?" Amara sat down slowly, folding her hands in her lap like a child awaiting punishment. And old friend, she worried too much. These letters say you stole from people, that you lied and manipulated others even as a girl. Amara's face remained calm, but something flickered in her eyes. Something cold and calculating. You will forgive me, she said softly. You always do. That night, Chike woke to the sound of footsteps outside. Through the window he saw a figure, a man, speaking quietly with Amara in the shadows. His face was hidden, but his voice was urgent, almost angry. When Chike stepped outside, they were both gone. The trouble came 3 days later. Farmer Emeka arrived at Chike's forge, his face twisted with rage. Behind him stood several other villagers, their expressions hard and unforgiving. Your wife, Emeka spat, convinced my son to dig up my yam seedlings. She told him they were magic beans that needed to be planted elsewhere. Half my crop is ruined. Chike's heart sank. I will pay for the loss. Pay? Emeka's voice rose. This is not about money, blacksmith. This is about respect. Your wife treats this village like her playground. She destroys without thought, and you do nothing. I will speak to her, Chike said weakly. You have been speaking to her, another villager shouted, and yet nothing changes. We demand she apologize publicly and make amends, or we will take this matter to Chief Okonkwo. Chike found Amara by the river, humming as she washed clothes. When he told her what had happened, she laughed. They are too sensitive. It was only yams. Amara, this is serious. They want you to apologize. Her face hardened, and for a brief moment, Chike saw something ugly beneath her beauty. I will not apologize for playing. If they cannot see joy, that is their problem. The villagers waited outside Chike's home that evening. When Amara refused to come out, Farmer Emeka pointed a finger at Chike. If she will not face consequences, then you will. I will seek the chief's judgment, and if justice requires it, I will call upon the spirits themselves. That night, Chike could not ignore the talisman's pull any longer. He held it tightly in his hand and whispered a prayer Elder Adaora had taught him. The stone grew warm, then hot. It began to glow with the deep red light that filled the room. Chike looked at Amara, who was pretending to sleep on the mat. Around her body, shadows flickered like dark smoke. They twisted and writhed, forming shapes that looked almost like hands, reaching, grasping, taking. Chike gasped and dropped the talisman. The glow faded immediately. Amara's eyes opened. She sat up slowly and looked directly at him, her face unreadable. What did you just do? She asked. I was praying, Chike stammered. She stared at him for a long, uncomfortable moment. Then she smiled, but it was not warm. It was the smile of someone who had been found out, but refused to admit defeat. Are you spying on me, my love? She whispered. Chike could not answer. His throat was dry, his heart racing. He lay back down and closed his eyes, but sleep did not come. All night, he felt her watching him in the darkness, and the talisman against his chest pulsed like a warning drum. The village began to split. It was a slow fracture at first, like a crack in pottery that widens over time. Some people, especially the younger ones, defended Amara. They saw her as misunderstood, a free spirit trapped by the judgment of jealous elders. She brings laughter, a young woman argued at the market. This village is too serious. Maybe we need someone like her. But the older villagers shook their heads. They had seen too much, lost too much. Chike found himself caught in the middle, blamed by both sides. One evening, as he walked home from the forge, a group of young men stopped him. Their leader, a boy named Chidi, spoke boldly. Blacksmith, we respect you, but your wife deserves better than this suspicion. If you cannot protect her, perhaps someone else should. Chike's jaw tightened. What are you saying? Chidi shrugged. I am saying she has friends now. Friends who will not let her be bullied. That night, Chike found a note slipped under his door. The handwriting was rough, angry. Stop uncovering the child woman, or the village will punish you. She is more loved than you think. You are the problem, not her. Chike sat in the dark holding the note, feeling more alone than he had ever felt in his life. Even his friends were beginning to doubt him. Obi had stopped visiting. People whispered when he passed. Amara, meanwhile, smiled more than ever. Chike returned to the abandoned house, this time more desperate. He tore through old baskets and broken furniture until he found another hidden bundle beneath loose floorboards. Inside were more letters, older this time. One was written by a woman named Sister Blessing, a mission school in a distant town. The letter was dated 20 years ago. To the family of Amara, I write with a heavy heart. Your daughter is a clever child, but she has no sense of right and wrong. She has stolen from other students, lied to teachers, and manipulated younger children into taking blame for her actions. I have tried to teach her responsibility, but she only laughs. She believes the world exists for her amusement. Unless something changes, I fear she will grow into a dangerous woman. I urge you to seek help before it is too late. Chike's hands shook. Amara had been this way since childhood. It was not ignorance. It was not innocence. It was a choice. He gathered the letters and returned home. But as he approached, he saw a figure standing near his door. A tall man in dark robes, his face partially hidden. Chike stopped. Who are you? The man turned slowly. His voice was cold and tired. I am Okoro. I was Amara's guardian after her mother's sister died. I have come because the debt she owes me has gone unpaid for too long. What debt? Chike asked, fear creeping up his spine. Okoro smiled, but it was not kind. Ask your wife, and prepare yourself, blacksmith. The truth she has hidden will destroy you both. Okoro did not leave. He took a room at the village guest house and walked through Olorunma like a shadow that refused to fade. People whispered about him, about the strange energy he carried, about the way even dogs avoided him. Chike confronted Amara that night. Who is Okoro, and what does he want? For the first time, he saw fear in her eyes. Real fear. He is no one, she said quickly, too quickly. Just a man from my past. He says you owe him a debt. Amara's face went pale. She turned away, wringing her hands. It was a long time ago. I was young. I took something that belonged to him. What did you take? She did not answer. Amara! Chike's voice rose. What did you take? She spun around, tears in her eyes, but Chike could not tell if they were real. Please, my husband, help me. If you do not, he will destroy us both. He will take everything. Chike wanted to refuse. He wanted to walk away. But the part of him that still loved her, that remembered the woman he thought she was, hesitated. What do you need? He asked quietly. Her tears stopped almost instantly. She smiled through them. Just trust me. I will handle it. But that night, Chike could not sleep. He lay awake, the talisman burning against his chest, and wondered if he had made the worst decision of his life. That evening, Chike decided to follow Amara. She left the house after sunset, carrying a small bundle. She walked quickly, glancing over her shoulder. Chike followed at a distance, keeping to the shadows. She met Okoro beneath a large baobab tree. Chike crouched behind a bush and listened. You promised me you would convince him, Okoro said, his voice dangerous. I am trying, Amara replied. He is stubborn. Then take what I need without his knowledge. The blacksmith has savings, tools, materials. Bring them to me. And if I do, you will leave? I will leave, but only after I have what I am owed. Amara nodded. I will do it. Shike's blood turned cold. She was planning to steal from him to pay off this stranger? His own wife, plotting his ruin as if it were nothing more than another game? He wanted to confront them both, but something held him back. If he revealed himself now, he would lose the advantage. So he crept back home, his heart shattered, and waited. Chike sat alone in the forge the next morning, staring at the fire. His mind was a storm of anger and grief. He had two choices: expose Amara and let the village judge her, or protect her and lose everything. Elder Adaora's words echoed. Love does not teach responsibility. Only consequences do. Obi found him slumped against the wall. You look like a man who has seen his own grave. I might have, Chike whispered. He told Obi everything. The letters, the theft, Okoro, the plot. Obi listened in silence, his face darkening. You know what you must do, Obi said finally. Do I? You must choose, my friend. Justice or mercy. But mercy without accountability is permission to destroy. That night, the talisman flared. So brightly, Chike had to cover it with cloth. It pulsed violently, screaming a warning. Chike looked at Amara, who was pretending to sleep. The danger was not coming. It had already been here. It had been here all along, sleeping beside him, slowly draining his soul. He made his decision. The village festival arrived, a night of music and dance under the full moon. Elder Adaora insisted Chike attend. The truth must be revealed in the light, not hidden in shadows. Chike brought the letters, the talisman, and Okoro, whom he had secretly convinced to speak. As the drums beat, Chief Okonkwo called for silence. Chike stood before the gathered villagers, his hands trembling. I must confess something, not about me, but about my wife. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Amara stood at the edge, frozen. Chike held up the letters. These prove a lifetime of deceit. My wife has manipulated, stolen, and destroyed without remorse since childhood. Lies, someone shouted. Let him speak, Chief Okonkwo commanded. Chike read from the letters, showed the talisman's glow, and called Okoro forward. Okoro spoke coldly. Amara stole a sacred heirloom from me years ago. She planned to steal from her own husband to pay her debt. The crowd erupted. All eyes turned to Amara. She opened her mouth, but no words came. Then she turned and ran into the night. The village was in uproar. Some demanded Amara be found and punished. Others still defended her, claiming Chike had lied. But Chike no longer cared about their opinions. He cared only about the truth. Elder Adaora called him to her home. You have done well, but the battle is not over. She will not accept defeat easily. What should I do? Prepare yourself, Adaora said. She will return with one final trick, the greatest trick of all. Adaora gave Chike a second talisman, white as bone. This will protect you from spiritual harm. Chike gathered his remaining allies, Obi, Farmer Emeka, and others who had suffered under Amara's games. Together, they prepared. That night, as Chike lay alone, he heard footsteps outside. Soft, deliberate, circling like a predator. Then came a whisper through the window. "You think you have won, my husband? You have no idea what I am capable of." Chike's blood turned cold. He clutched both talismans and prayed, because he knew the worst was to come. The next morning, chaos erupted. Somehow, overnight, a lie had spread. Chike was the villain. He had been abusing Amara, forcing her into silence, lying to cover his crimes. People who had supported Chike now looked at him with suspicion. "How did this happen?" Chike demanded in the marketplace. A young woman stepped forward. "Amara came to me last night. She was crying, bruised. She told me everything." "Bruised?" Chike's voice cracked. "I never touched her." "Then explain this," the woman said, holding up torn, blood-stained cloth. Chike had no explanation, but the evidence was there, and the crowd believed it. Chief Okonkwo called an emergency gathering, but as the trial began, Elder Adaora arrived moving with undeniable authority. "Enough," she said. "I will show you the truth." That night, under the full moon, Elder Adaora performed a ritual. The white talisman began to glow. In the smoke, villagers saw a vision of Amara alone in the forest, tearing her own clothes, smearing animal blood on her skin, laughing. The crowd gasped. The truth was undeniable. Chike found Amara in their home, sitting calmly as if nothing had happened. The vision had shattered her lies, but she seemed amused. "You'd think exposing me changes anything?" she said softly. "The village will pity you, mock you for marrying a fool. You have destroyed us both." "I destroyed nothing," Chike said steadily. "You did this to yourself." Amara laughed, a sound that chilled him. "You were always so righteous, so good. That is why I chose you. Good men are the easiest to break." "Why?" Chike's voice broke. "Why do this?" Her smile faded. For a moment he saw something raw and empty in her eyes. "Because I can. Because I have always been able to. And because no one has ever stopped me. I am stopping you now." Amara stood and walked toward him. "You cannot defeat me, blacksmith. Not with magic, not with truth. I am stronger than you think." She reached for the door. Chike blocked her path. "Where are you going?" "To finish what I started. You will never defeat me. Not even magic can stop me." Then she vanished into the night. For 3 days, Amara moved through the village like a ghost, whispering lies, planting doubt, turning friend against friend. Chike's allies began to waver. "Perhaps we should let her go," Obi said quietly. "Let her leave and trouble us no more." "She will not leave," Elder Adawara said firmly. "She has nowhere to go. This village is her stage, and she will burn it down before admitting defeat." Chike felt himself sinking into despair. How could he fight someone with no shame, no limits, no conscience? That night, Elder Adawara appeared in the forge like a vision in the firelight. "There is one final way," she said, "but it requires courage. Tell me." "You must confront her at the sacred river. There the spirits will judge her. But you must face the truth about yourself, too. You enabled her, Chike. You chose love over wisdom. You must answer for that." Chike nodded slowly. "I am ready." Elder Adawara placed a hand on his shoulder. "Then go at dawn. The river will reveal all." Chike arrived at the sacred river as the sun rose, painting the water gold and red. Amara was already there, staring at her reflection. "I knew you would come," she said without turning. "This ends today," Chike replied. "Does it?" She looked at him, exhaustion in her eyes. "What will you do? Drown me? Cast me out?" I will let the river decide. He held up both talismans and spoke the words Elder Adora had taught him. The river began to glow, its surface shimmering. Images appeared. Amara as a child, stealing. Amara as a young woman, lying. Amara in their home, laughing as chaos unfolded. The villagers had followed and now stood watching as the river revealed every sin, every manipulation, every lie. Amara fell to her knees, staring at her reflection in horror, but the reflection was not her face. It was something twisted, empty, selfish. A child who would never learn to love anything but herself. She screamed and tried to run, but the river's light held her. Chief Okonkwo stepped forward. Amara, you are banished. You will leave at dawn and never return. She looked at Chike. You did this to me. No, Chike said quietly. You did this to yourself. The next morning, Amara left Olorunma with nothing but a small bundle. Chike watched from a distance as she walked down the dusty path, her head held high. Some villagers threw stones near her feet, others watched in silence, their faces showing anger, pity, and relief. Elder Adewora stood beside Chike. Do you feel victorious? No, I admitted. I feel empty. That is because you loved her once. That is not weakness. That is your humanity. Amara paused at the village edge and looked back. Her eyes found Chike's across the distance. For a moment he thought he saw regret. But then she turned and continued walking, disappearing into the forest like a bad dream fading. Okoro approached him and handed Chike a small pouch. The heirloom she stole was found in her belongings. Consider it payment for your trouble. Chike shook his head. Keep it. I want nothing from this. As the sun climbed higher, the village began to return to normal, though everyone knew things would never be the same again. 3 moons passed. The forge returned to life, and Chike's reputation slowly healed. People still spoke of Amara, but now her name was a warning. One evening, a young man approached him nervously. Master Blacksmith, I seek advice. About what? Chike asked. About marriage. There is a woman I love, but my mother says she is too childish. My mother says I should wait. Chike stopped hammering. He looked at the young man carefully. Does this woman take responsibility for her actions? Does she apologize when she causes harm? Does she grow from mistakes? The young man thought, I do not know. Then you do not know her, Chike said gently. Love is not enough. Marriage requires maturity and the willingness to face consequences. Never marry someone who refuses to grow up. The young man nodded and left. Elder Adewora appeared, smiling. You have learned well, blacksmith. Now you teach others. This is how wisdom spreads. That night, Chike felt something he had not felt in years. Peace. And in Olorunma, parents began telling their children a cautionary tale about a woman who never grew up. They told it so others might learn. Love cannot thrive where maturity is absent. Only responsibility and truth bring harmony. If you enjoyed our story, please subscribe and share.